G'day guys, and welcome to another YouTube lesson. This is the last YouTube lesson of all of the ones from the topic. From our school anyhow, we finish with marketing. So I know that you're very sad. It's the last one you're going to see unless you're revising other things. But I think you and me are happy that it's done. Now we're going to be looking at marketing strategies, and we'll look at e-marketing, which is separate from the syllabus dot point below, which is then following global marketing. And we'll look at all the different strategies inside of global marketing as well. All right, let's kick it off with the e-marketing. It stands for electronic marketing, which is the practice of using the internet to perform various marketing activities. Now, e-marketing or electronic marketing refers to the application of marketing principles and techniques via electronic media, and more specifically, the internet. The terms e-marketing, internet marketing, and online marketing are often frequently interchanged. Now, what are some examples of electronic or e-marketing? Some examples include different companies' websites. We've also got blogs, social network sites like MySpace, although that's pretty much dead. Even I don't use MySpace or ever really did. Facebook, old people stuff like me that look at Bebo, etc., etc. There's search engines. We've got Google, Yahoo, and so on. Different viral marketing's done on platforms like YouTube and so on. And email is also a form of marketing, but we don't consider spam, which is where just large chunks of ads essentially are spammed and sent off to people. We don't really consider that to be a form of marketing. But proper relationship marketing, where customers want ads and discounts sent to them through that concept of relationship marketing, that's considered to be part of this e-marketing and electronic marketing. Now, e-marketing can be an effective strategy for marketing because it can have a huge reach for all businesses, but for small businesses especially, because they don't have the cash, the coinola, the budget to spend, they're able to compete in some way with larger businesses, more so than what they could do, small businesses, in terms of the more traditional forms of marketing. SMEs and in particular small businesses, they just don't have the budget for that. All right, now, next strategy that we have, and the last one, thank God, is global marketing. What's global marketing? It includes strategies such as global branding, standardization versus customization, and maybe the incorporation of both, depending on the market, global pricing, and competitive positioning. They're effective strategies because business need to take into consideration the pros and cons, the advantages and disadvantages of tailoring marketing to each individual country's needs versus the cost or benefit of having just one standardized approach. Should you tailor it to different markets, i.e. I'll treat Australia different to the US, different to Mexico, etc., or have a more standardized approach? And you're going to weigh up those pros and those cons and almost do a cost-benefit analysis as to which global marketing strategy your business chooses to employ. Now, the first thing is global branding. This is when a business has one well-known global brand. A good example, case study to use would be Nike. When a product can be marketed to consumers in many different countries, then branding becomes extremely important. It's very effective and efficient to promote a brand rather than individual products to individual countries, especially when you're operating in countries with a range of different languages and English not being their first language. That brand name can really make a big difference automatically. Customers from countries that don't speak the home country's language can identify and feel an affinity with that product. They know the Nike tick. Nike has been very successful in using this promotional strategy. So global branding is a vital strategy in marketing because it allows for the global positioning of a product to to be improved and the sales will increase. Think of, Coke and their global branding strategy. And wherever you are around the world, you know that brand name. So if you can brand globally, and you don't even need to have English as a language on your logo, on your branding. If you're in Venezuela, if you're in Singapore, well, I speak English anyhow, but if you're in a range of countries, Madagascar, if you're in Germany, if you're in wherever it may well be, Brazil, I should know more countries, I'm a geography teacher too, then you can identify and see that global brand and you trust that brand. So it's an effective strategy because customers will purchase from you rather than the competitor if you brand well and make sure it's globally identifiable. It increases your sales, it increases your profits, your brand awareness, and your market share. All right, the next global marketing strategy is to use standardization or customization or potentially some combination of the two. Now, a business may not need to change its core product to suit the target market in different countries. Instead, it's able to supply a standardized product. So if you have one unique product and that same product is sold all around the world in your different geographical markets and you don't change it at all, that's a standardized marketing approach. So it's about product, I guess, as a P, but it's about keeping that same product homogenized, the same in each of your geographical markets. However, often a business will customize, differentiate, change some aspects of the product to suit different geographical markets because of different cultures in different countries. Now, there's language differences, religious backgrounds and differences. Different countries have different tastes, and so on. And so it may be useful to be able to customize, to alter or change a product depending on the country you're selling to. An example to demonstrate this. A good example, a business that uses standardization, but from time to time they also use customization, is Macca's, McDonald's. In general, they have the same products worldwide. What type of approach would that be? The same products in Australia, as is in France, as is in Sweden, as is in Germany. What would it be? It's a standardized approach. Excellent. But in some countries, they will have products tailored to that unique country. Now, an easy example is the McOz. They're not selling the McOz in other countries that are not Australia. They don't sell that to Belgium or to Congo or to wherever. All right? They sell the McOz just here in Australia, mate. Now, another example of where they will have some level of customization, though, as opposed to standardization, is in many Islamic countries. They'll make sure that the meat is halal and that therefore it's in keeping with those countries' religious customs, values, and beliefs. Similarly, in a country like India that are largely Hindu, not all, but largely Hindu, they have a strong respect and it's almost religious background and belief for beef and the cow in particular. Therefore, for them, it is disgusting, would be unheard of, unholy to be able to have beef on their burgers. So they'll use other forms of meats in their patties to be able to customize their products for the Indian customers' preferences. They'll use customization rather than the standardization. All right, the next global marketing strategy is global pricing. What is this? It's how a business will coordinate their pricing policies across different countries. i.e., will a business have a customized pricing policy or a standardized pricing policy? Now you might be saying, oh, didn't we just talk about standardization versus customization? Yes. We talked about the standardization of products, having the same product across different national boundaries, or having customized product across different national boundaries. Now we're looking at when you price your product, obviously you're going to take into account exchange rates and so on, but will you make, in terms of purchasing power parity, which is the value of your currency against others in real terms, will you make it the same in America, which is a developed country, or compare that to, say, Mexico, which is a poorer developing nation? Will you sell it for the same in essence, or will you sell it in a more expensive way in Mexico, or cheaper in Mexico because it's a developing country? If it's kind of the same, it's standardized pricing. If you're selling it cheaper elsewhere, then it is a customized pricing. Again, I'll define those two for you. Customized pricing occurs whenever consumers in different countries are charged different prices for the same product. Standardized pricing is the practice of charging customers the same price for product elsewhere in the world. It doesn't have to be exactly the same because exchange rates differ and so on. But in real terms, are you paying more for something if you're in Australia than you are in America? Well, we were with Netflix and still are. It will only succeed though the foreign marketing costs remain low enough not to affect the overall cost. Now, there are two main risks associated with a strategy that's standardized. A domestic business may undercut the standardized price, and a second risk, changes in the exchange rate may negatively impact on the exported price. All right, so global pricing is seen as a strategy because it would be cheaper to just charge the same price all over the world. So having a standardized pricing, it's cheaper, it's easier. But some poorer countries can't afford this, so you may lose sales. That makes sense. If you've got Australia and you've got one of our closest neighbours, PNG, we are a developed nation. They are developing, a poorer nation. If you're Macca's and you're selling Big Macs in Australia for a certain amount, whatever the Big Macs are, I don't know, about $5, and the equivalent in PNG, and their currency is sold for $5, that's a standardized pricing. Now, most people in Australia can afford to buy a Big Mac, but far less people can afford to pay that same amount to purchase that Big Mac in PNG. So this is what I talk about. If it's standardized, you save on the fact that it's the same price across all different countries, but think about what will happen in PNG. There's local burger makers. Will they sell it for $5? They'll sell it for a lot cheaper because they understand that people can't afford it over there. Wages are cheaper too, and so on. So they'll be undercutting you if you've got a standardized pricing. And therefore, it might be wise to alter your pricing depending on the rich country you're in, the developed, or the poorer developing country you're in. So a marketing team needs to evaluate what method should be employed, whether it be customized, standardized, or maybe a combination of both depending on the region or country you are in. All right, last strategy of all time. Competitive positioning. What's that? Competitive positioning relates to how a business will differentiate its products. It centers on how a business will carve out a place in the competitive marketing environment. A business needs to choose to be a product differentiator. If this is its option, then it can position itself as a high cost, high quality, but high price business. Or if it's a cost leader business, if this is the option it chooses, then it will try to position itself as a low-cost business or as maybe a high customer service, but a low-cost business. If it can position itself competitively, then it will be at the forefront, right, ranked number one in the consumer's mind, and therefore it is a useful marketing strategy. We've talked about positioning before, but that's from a domestic case. And it's exactly the same when we talk about global positioning, but we're just talking about doing that on an international level. All right, guys, thanks, and see you next time. Well, not at all, because we're finished. See you later. Bye-bye.